All right. Are you ready for you ready to get this party started?
Kaveh, ready to get this party started right now. Do you want to do the intro this time?
No, I'm awful
Come
at it.
on, you. All right. Are you sure?
I mean, who did it last
Do
time?
it.
Wait, who did it
I
last
feel like
time?
I've done it.
I feel like you did it. I did it last time, didn't I?
I think I've done it. I think I've done it every time.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Welcome back to the show, The Girls on Boys. She made me do the introduction, and she knows I'm awful at it. I'm Kaveh. I'm joined by my co-host and friend, Rebecca Watson. Rebecca?
Hi. That was, you know what? You know what? That was
It was really bad.
I've heard worse.
From me.
And
it's hard to do intros. I don't know how to do intros. I'm really bad at it. Have you heard the intros I do? They're bad.
It's because, it's all right. Have you heard of The Secret, Kaveh?
Is that where like you wish something into existence?
Yeah. If you believe it, then it becomes true. So if you're like, I have a Lamborghini in the driveway, if you believe it hard enough, it will happen. So if you believe hard enough you can do a good intro, it will happen.
Wait, so if you believed you wanted that there was a Lamborghini, it would show up?
Oh yeah, literally. It's a very problematic, if you think about it for more than 30 seconds, it's a very problematic philosophy.
God, yeah, I wonder why more people don't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is something that Oprah pumped up, and it was funny because it's like, well, you're a billionaire and you're basically saying that children with cancer
just don't care enough, don't believe enough.
They don't wish enough that they didn't have cancer.
Yeah, fucking kids.
It's not a great philosophy, but if you, I think, just believe that you can do a great intro to this show.
That's a problem. I just can't believe it. It's unbelievable. Yeah. You're much better at it. So I'm going to let you take over from here. I'm not going to talk for the rest of the show. I'm out.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Girls on Boys, the only Girls on the Boys podcast after show in your ears on.
That's good. See, that's inspiring. That's professional broadcasting right there. We're going to talk about the episode, The Glorious 5-Year Plan. Mm-hmm. Wait, is that the name of it?
I don't actually know. I don't know. Okay, no.
I'm going to cut this part right now. Hold on a second. Okay. Let's see. And today we're going to talk about the episode 4 of season 3 of The Boys, Glorious 5-Year Plan. Let me just start by asking you. Can I ask you a question? I'm just going to ask you something. You ready?
Hit me.
We kind of talked about how the last episode wasn't our favorite. How did you feel about this one?
Okay. I think, so this to me, it would have been a fine episode had it not come after an episode I didn't love. And it came after an episode that I did not enjoy. And as I mentioned on the previous episode of this podcast, but I know that I enjoyed this episode because of how many notes I took, which was a lot. Like,
she's showing me on her phone.
Yeah,
I can't really see.
Can't see
it doesn't pick up on the screen,
which is good. I don't know spoilers.
Yeah. No, I don't spoil it for me because I've already forgotten everything.
I did enjoy this. To me, this to me, this wasn't as good as 2 episodes ago, which was a slam bang, thank you, ma'am. But better than last episode, which I found a bit boring. And
I agree. I thought this was a little bit better. There's a little bit more tension. We got to see a little bit more of Homelander's descent into madness, and everyone's happy lives are sort of falling apart to the point like we see them at a very far place from where they were in the very first episode, only like 3 episodes ago, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I thought I did a really good job, a much better job of sort of building a little bit of that. let's should we start with sorry, go on. You're gonna say
Well,
something.
let's start just real quick. I just like to think, sometimes a new listener will click on a podcast and they'll be like, "Oh, the most recent ep. Let me just do this." So I like to just throw it out there. We're going to be spoiling Amazon's The Boys
out of this.
Absolutely, we're spoiling the shit out of it. But as episode per episode, we are not spoiled past what episode we're talking about today. As Kaveh mentioned, we're talking about what is it? Episode
4.
Season 3.
Which, by the way, I think by the time this comes out, episode 5 or 6 will be out. Yeah. We have not seen those.
No. We're purposely behind things.
Exactly. This is so much more fun to be able to watch it and then talk to you about it. So this is how I'm going to watch all my shows from now on. So,
well, if we gain an audience, like I will do this with you. Like I enjoy this a lot.
Can we just do like the Game of Thrones thing that they're doing with Jon Snow? They're doing a Jon Snow show. Yeah, right? Yeah. They're doing like a Jon Snow Beyond the Wall. Like I don't know when it's coming out, but that's another show that's coming out. Yeah. But you're not excited about that?
No, I'm thrilled. I have a lot of I go deep with Game of Thrones actually. I read all the books. I did several conference talks about Game of Thrones to feminists.
Interesting. Can you tell me I mean, I know you give full talks about them, so you can't like summarize into
one. No, not like talks. I gave like panel discussions, like at Dragon Con in Atlanta, which was a lot of fun. So yeah, I have opinion.
Dragon Con. Okay, yeah, you go way deeper than me.
Oh, Kaveh, I've got the nerd cred. That's all I have here.
Can I tell you my Game of Thrones story?
Please.
Okay, so I was watching the show when it first came out, and I liked it. It was fine, but then at some point, I was like, "There's just too much rape and castration in this show. I'm checking out. I need to like."
It's fair.
I don't. My life is already too dark. And then there was this competition that came up with a basketball player for the Golden State Warriors, which is my favorite basketball team. Okay. Harrison Barnes, who was a big fan of the show. He's been traded. He's not on the team anymore. But he was having this contest. He's like, whoever can answer these questions, the questions the best about Game of Thrones, can hang out with me, watch it at this dope like soundstage, watch the first season, and we'll hang out and have drinks. And I was like,
oh snap,
that sounds fun. So in true pre-med fashion, I like studied through Wikipedia. I just read the whole Wikipedia on the Game of Thrones.
Wait, show
just a show.
Books or just okay, just show.
I figured the test was only going to cover the show.
Okay.
So I
like a mistake, but
don't get me wrong. I mean, I was a test taking like choice I made,
right.
And so I just read through the whole thing, aced the test, and I got to hang out with Harrison Barnes and watch the show. He ended up being traded and not being a great player anyways, but whatever. It was a really cool experience. And that's how I got into Game of Thrones. Because up until that point, I actually wasn't that into it. But then like I read through all the characters. I'm like, okay, all right, this is pretty good.
Wow. That's the jockiest, nerdiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, I went full pre-med on that. I was like, I crammed for that test and I aced it.
That's like the perfect combination. That's like the fantasy. You know how like fantasy football guys don't realize that they're just Dungeons and Dragons nerds?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like you embrace that. Like I like basketball and I like fantasy and dragons. Let's do it.
Yeah. I was like, I used my medical training, medical training, it breaks you as a human. It dehumanizes you to some degree.
I've heard that.
Yeah. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take some lemons and make a Game of Thrones lemonade out of this. Good. And still there's too much castration in the show. If we're being honest, it's just too much.
There's a lot of castration, but personally as a feminist, I loved it.
But there's still a lot of rape too, though. Isn't that kind of like? I mean, okay, this is not the point of the show, but can I ask you a question? Like, the amount of rape in the show, like, was it like good from a feminist perspective?
No,
because you were like, this is how bad life was.
No, everybody hated it. No, everybody hated it. It was bad. I'm just making a joke about how feminists love castration. That's all. We can have a whole other show about that.
Yeah. Okay.
But okay, but wait. So this is the other thing I wanted to mention is that we've had a bad day today. We're recording this. I feel like it's important to note. Can I note?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I note reality? Just put a little pin in it.
Oh, yeah.
Today's the day. We all knew it was coming, but today's the day the Supreme Court decided that I'm not a person, and that if I get pregnant, the little embryo inside of me gets trumps my own personal bodily autonomy. So it's not been a great day, and previous to this, the Supreme Court struck down New York's concealed carry law. So now, like, you can just carry guns wherever, and it's like
great.
Church and state is absolutely fucked due to their decision on Maine just prior to this. So it's been like a tough week. So I literally, yesterday I was saying to my husband, like, yo, we have to cool it on the drinking a little bit. And particularly, I've now done several podcasts with Kaveh, and every one I've either been drinking or on muscle relaxers. So I need to like be chill this week. And then this happened, and I was like, nope.
Next week. Picked a hell of a week to stop sniffing glue.
Exactly.
I think you're. We'll at some point we'll talk about the alcohol.
So yeah, to segue into it, it's both bad and good to watch The Boys after all of that. In that The Boys is in part about the government being so completely fucked and fucking over the most marginalized people in every way possible, because they are at the whim of minority groups that hate other minorities, minority as in like enthusiastic fundamentalist Christians who hate like gays and women and stuff like that. That's kind of at the heart of The Boys, is them taking over the government, and how do you fight back against these like powers? But at the same time, it's also about exploding politicians' heads.
Yes.
So it is like it. So I had a real mixed bags of feelings tonight. I watched it literally tonight, the most recent episode.
Yeah.
I had a mixed bag of feelings.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's no way that what's happening in the real world is not going to color the way we see the rest of the show.
Yeah.
And that could be really good, because depending on, so far, I think they've done a pretty good job of being a year or two ahead of what's been happening, and sort of calling things that are coming more and more to light. But one thing you brought up in the very beginning that I'm really curious to see how they play out, which is the same question we're all experiencing now, which is like, how do you work? How do you try and fix this? Do you try to go within the system, vote for the right people, or do you work outside the system and try things that are more drastic? You see people saying things like on Twitter right now in real life, like, vote accordingly, vote for the right person. Then you see another person saying like, we can't, voting did nothing, voting will do nothing. But then, I mean, I honestly, I'm in a situation where I'm like, I don't know the right answer to this. I don't know. Like, I mean, what options do we have other than voting? I mean, obviously it hasn't done shit so far, but what can we do outside of that system? Like,
assassination of
that we could do.
That we would never
do. No, we could. I mean, we'd be awful at it.
No.
Can you imagine us trying to assassinate somebody?
I would immediately tweet it. I'd be like, hey guys, guess what I just did? Lol.
I'm live streaming you doing this. Okay, we're in the building across the hall. We're about to hold on. Wait.
You joke, but that's literally what like the January 6th idiots did, was to live.
Absolutely.
But I remember watching the January 6th things, and they were like, I remember like literally in the moment when they were like, we're going to hang Mike Pence. Here's the gallows. I remember texting with a friend. I'm like, lol. Let's see if they do it, and it
do it, you like, pussies.
Yeah. And, and since then, Mike Pence became a bit of a liberal darling, because it's like, he did the right thing and refused to say that Trump won the election. But today he also released a statement saying like, hey, yeah, great job, Supreme Court. Let's go ahead. And he didn't say this explicitly, but he implied like, let's push forward on making abortion illegal throughout every state. And it's like, and like, it's so frustrating because liberals, I think, are so taken in by like anybody that seems to fit this. I think it's a trope of the conservative villain who switches sides and now he's going to help us. And I think they all just wanted that to be Mike Pence. And Mike Pence is a horrible piece of shit who exasperated an AIDS crisis in his own state before he even accepted the nomination to be on Donald Trump's ticket. So like, he's a bad person.
Yeah.
Like, can we all just sort of understand that? But right.
And he did the bare minimum of what a human is supposed to do. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. I'm not out here trying to make a hero out of Mike Pence.
No, you are, Kaveh, and that's
listen,
I'm here
you
to
get one
out.
Mike Pence tattoo, and then everyone's like, "Oh, you're Kaveh, fucking crazy about the guy."
Kaveh, you only have one tramp stamp area, and you filled it with Mike Pence's dick. So,
well, I mean,
how did you even get that?
To be fair, it's a bifurcated penis, and that makes it very interesting. So I feel like that is worth tattooing on one's body.
Does bifurcated mean he can like?
No, that's prehensile.
Oh, that's prehensile.
Yeah. You're thinking prehensile. Bifurcated means like it's split into two, like a snake's tongue.
Oh.
But I'm also too hairy to get tattoos, so that's not it's not really a question. Anyways, should we get to the show?
Yeah, we should. I know you have a family.
I did. I lost them because of the show. That's how dedicated I am to this show.
Meanwhile, my family brought me another beer.
I wish I had your husband too.
I can go all night, baby.
I'm drinking my whiskey in a nice little Persian cup. Do you like this? It's my little Persian
It is very cute. I like it.
Okay.
Do you want to walk us through it?
Let's go through it. So it starts with a flashback. Eminem's watching, I think on tape, an old appearance of Soulja Boy on like their Soul Train. Like Soul Train analog.
Can we call him Marvin? Because when you said Eminem,
you're right. It's not Eminem. It's MM. Anyway, so
I obviously thought Marshall Mathers.
Yeah, sure, right. I got you. So, Soulja Boy is singing "Rapture" by Blondie.
Yes,
that was an interesting thing. I didn't quite know what to make of that. He's really angry. That's it. We're not getting a lot of Marvin action in these first couple of episodes, but that's kind of like the major first thing that Marvin's done. They're trying to give us show us how angry he is and how much he wants to kill this guy.
I can offer one AP English thing. Can we tag these as Rebecca AP English?
Yeah, please do. Cliff notes.
Rapture. I have heard white people claim that Rapture was the first rap song.
Yes, I've heard that as well.
When in fact, she name drops Fab Five Freddy.
Incredibly offensive, yes.
It's so offensive. So it's interesting that that's the song, which is and Marvin is a black man and Soulja Boy is a white man. And so maybe they picked that as a token of him, appropriating pop culture in a way that he didn't deserve.
Absolutely. I was going to actually ask you why you thought they picked that song.
Really?
I figured you would have that's fucking brilliant. And I think that's right.
You gotta stop enabling my AP.
No, I love it. I love it. A little AP break right there. And then I think the next sort of important scene is Homelander is on the Cameron Coleman show. It's like a Fox. He's like the Tucker Carlson. Hannity, maybe more of a Hannity.
Yeah.
And he's sort of talking about these people operating in the shadows, clearly doing a deep state sort of reference. I'm here to help you. There's people working against us. I can't even say it's that secretive, which I thought was actually very clever.
Yeah. It ties into the QAnon stuff that Trump did, the sort of casual playing into these deeper conspiracy theories that that the base fucking loves. White men love this.
Love it. Carl Urban and as Butcher goes with Frenchie to Nina, the Russian mafia lady. Clear sexual tension. He's got a lot of presence. That guy, that actor, Carl Urban, in that scene.
Oh yeah, that actor Carl Urban. Yeah,
he's got a sexy
nothing
guy,
but
huh?
presence.
He's a sexy guy.
God.
Yeah,
Literally,
is he the sexiest guy on the show?
Don't ask me that. I can't. I mean, I told you before. I have prosopagnosia.
Did you just literally wipe drool from your mouth?
I did.
Oh my God,
that was beer. That was 21st Amendment Hell or High Watermelon.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
But yeah, I do find him. I find him sexual in context. Like he's one of those actors that disappears into a role, and like my desk is very creaky, and I noticed it when during the last edit, so I'm gonna stop touching it.
Oh, thank God! I thought that was mine.
Honestly. No, I'm pretty sure it's mine. It's it's a Wayfair desk. It costs like $100.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stop touching it.
Stop touching it.
Carl Urban is one of those guys that disappears into a role. So I can find him either like gross or adorable. You know, like it took me ages to realize that he was, you know, he's the guy from the Thor movies, you know, with this is all my stuff. You know?
I loved him in that movie.
Oh, me too. And like he was Bones in Star Trek. And those are like such like wildly opposite ends of the spectrum. I love Carl Urban for that. And this is probably, and I say this with a bit of sadness, this is probably the sexiest I found him. And I find it sad because I think that I'm coming around to your point of view here and like the comics point of view. I think we're going to see him as an ultimate villain. But at the end of this episode, I was kind of convinced, but he's very sexy.
Yeah, I could see why in that scene.
Yeah.
Then we see a little bit more of A-Train. And my favorite line in the show is when he's having a discussion with Ashley, who I
love Ashley, by the way.
I think she's great.
She's fantastic.
And he's trying to like rebrand himself and no one's really buying it. And she's at one point, I'm pretty sure it was her, was like, we're big about social justice here. BLM is my favorite hashtag.
Yes, BLM is my favorite hashtag. I fucking loved her. So this is A-Train. I think it's worth noting. He's not just like part of his rebrand. They're going all in, and he pitched a commercial that was a direct satire of the Kylie Jenner Pepsi commercial. I believe it's Kylie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not the guy for this.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Some Jenner did a Pepsi commercial where there's riot police. She goes up, offers them a Pepsi, and then everybody's friends. And they got roasted for it. And so they did just like a 1-for-1 shot. And I loved it because I'm usually like, I'm much more interested in subtle irony and subtle metaphor. Yeah. But in cases like this, where, you know, last week we talked about how the Reddit, the boys subreddit is up in arms that Homelander is quote unquote suddenly the bad guy. It's like, subtlety went out the window 3 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, they just did a 1-for-1 shot. It was like Gus Van Sant's Psycho. It was like, was that Gus Van Sant?
Yeah. Okay. Where he did a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho.
Yeah. It was a shot-for-shot remake of the Kylie Jenner Pepsi commercial, but with A-Train. And I thought it was perfect. Pitch perfect.
I agree. And then we find out what Maeve has been up to. She's been preparing and practicing and actually doing like whatever superhero training, like to prepare for a fight with a Homelander. But when the show does, here's one complaint that I have about the show. I feel like they are a little too heavy-handed with delivering what it will clearly be a twist. Like the fact that she's doing that makes me think she's not ever A, going to fight him, and B, if she does, there will be no fight. It'll be over in like less than a second.
Well, and even then, like she pitched it as it'll be over in less than a second. I'm just there to distract him for a second while you guys do this thing, which I agree. I had that same thought. It was like, normally at this point, the hero is like, I can beat him. I can do it. Or like together we can do it. And then they end up providing that like second of crucial distraction. But she's saying she is literally just a second of distraction before she dies.
So I don't know what you're right. I don't entirely know what the twist will be. But so for example, another scene that comes up pretty shortly afterwards is Supersonic, who is like, now you get the sense he isn't there to actually double cross Annie, and he's actually going to help.
Pure good. I literally wrote down, is he too good?
Yes, exactly. Because then the second he tells A-Train, you're like, oh, it's over. It's over.
I actually wrote down, okay, so here's what I wrote. Supersonic, too good to be true. And then a few things about the deep, and then poor whites versus poor blacks. We can get to that. And then Supersonic telling A-Train about the plan.
And A-Train obviously betrays him. Yeah. But I have to say, I'm actually kind of grateful for that, because I didn't like that A-Train was starting to become more of a sympathetic character.
Right.
Like you're starting to like kind of like him a little bit. Because you want to be like, oh yeah, he's a piece of shit too.
Mm-hmm. So let's wrap that up real fast. Like what happens? And it was actually like, I told my husband, like, I'm glad that actually wrapped up so quickly. The fact that I thought it was going to like drag out.
The love triangle, you mean?
Thing. No, the Supersonic telling A-Train about the plan.
Yeah.
And then like everybody like going down with it. But no, because like Homelander is just so evil. Like the second he heard about it, he's just like, oh, so he killed apparently killed Supersonic, blasted him to bits. But so like that could have been worse. Like if Supersonic is the only death from that, that's good.
Right. They are doing that to give us that. Sometimes movies will do that, right? Where they have to like give you some weight. They have to give weight to the thing by killing somebody you like, but they don't want to kill one of the main characters. So they bring in that new character just to get you like him enough to when they kill them. I mean, Game of Thrones did this constantly. Walking Dead constantly. So that happened. Poor Supersonic. He meets his end in this. And that was another bit of that. Remember when he's like, I'm going to take you somewhere, and Homelander picks up Starlight and flies her up.
Never let a man take you to another location.
Never. Oh,
never.
Classic.
Don't do it. And I'm serious, ladies.
That is good advice.
And also like the occasional man. Yeah. If you're being mugged or whatever, and they want to go to a second location, make them kill you there. Because they're going to kill you regardless, and at least they'll find your body faster.
We are not trained in this sort of thing, but yes.
I listen to a lot of Dateline.
It started out as the perfect marriage. Annie and Homelander. As an aside, before I go on further, there was a line that came up twice in this show. Did your idiot brain get fucked by stupid?
Yes.
What the fuck does that? Did that make any sense to you?
No, the fact that came up twice, I was like, what are they trying to tell us? Am I the idiot brain?
I didn't get it either. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
I don't know. But I know that we're about to get into a big set piece discussion. And before then, I do have several notes that I want to go through up until this point. Yeah. Because we're kind of going in, in order. So I just wanted to say that like at the beginning, Huey has we talked about this previously, but just to underline it, Huey has asked Starlight to just suck it up and go do a thing to like for the good of the team, just pretend to be blah, blah, blah. and then she ends up like in a fake relationship with Homelander, and Huey is like, what the fuck? And so I think it just sort of underlines this idea that and it's not just men versus women, it's people in power versus others. It can apply to a number of groups, but Huey can ask her to sacrifice parts of herself because he doesn't truly understand what that sacrifice means until it affects him. And then he's like, ooh, what the fuck? This isn't cool, and then he's upset about it. So I think that's worth just like putting a pin in it.
Yes, I agree.
The other thing I wanted to mention is Maeve. Did you notice the graffiti and we haven't quite got to this yet, but it did happen before, like the set piece I think we're about to get to. They go to Russia. And did you notice the graffiti on the walls?
I actually have a note about that because I thought it was great. And there's all this graffiti. A lot of it's like Homelander. A lot of it was like pro Homelander, it seemed like. But then some of it was like sort of making fun of the US. And it was like kind of smart, and you could see how that makes sense. And there was the one with Maeve, but I didn't catch anything about that. Was there something about them in her graffiti in particular?
Well, the one thing that I did notice specifically, and I haven't had I literally just watched the show before we're coming to record this. And the one thing I did notice was one of the biggest piece of graffiti that I noticed was Maeve as Titan, aka Saturn, as in the Goya painting, Saturn devouring his son.
Oh wow!
Which is like, if maybe you remember, it's like this like crazy old man like tearing
eating
his son's
child.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong because I haven't actually
All right. Another AP English moment. What is the symbolism of that?
So I don't know, in it, it's Saturn literally eating one of his sons. It's a prophecy in that, Gaia prophesies that Saturn will eat one of his son or all of his children upon their birth. And so that's so somebody did a graffiti of Maeve as Maeve. Wow. I might be totally wrong.
I'm going to watch it again afterwards. I'm really curious to know why they would do that.
I've noticed some of your smart listener fans have been tweeting at us. By the way, it's at Girls on Boys Pod. Mm-hmm. So maybe one of them can, or I think I have some smart listeners.
You got some smart friends. I mean,
so I think maybe they can help us out here, figure out Maeve be, I don't know, what has Maeve given birth to? Well, so she has literally given birth to this this extremist group. When Huey went, was it Huey that went to her and said, somebody went to her to tell her something
Annie,
about
in this episode.
Yeah. And she said, that was me. I'm the one that turned everybody onto this. So maybe in a way, this whole, this uprising in a way is her child. So maybe that, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
I love it. I'm sure it's actually not even that at all.
No,
in
not
fact, it's
at all. Not at all.
I just love that you came up with some shit. So fucking great. Can I tell you though? Okay, I'm going to take a break before we get to the rest of this whole the Russia story, because then we have to end with that. But
okay.
But before we get on to that, you know why this episode affected me and why I liked it is particularly because of Annie's experience. Because basically, working in the 7 is a great sort of over the top analogy of everyday toxic workplaces. Have you ever been in a really toxic work environment?
Hi. My name's Rebecca. Nice to meet you.
Well, you've been in toxic environments, like very toxic. You've been
I
you've been exposed to toxic culture as a target. But I mean,
right.
like, have
I
you?
have also worked in I worked in a construction company as a copywriter, like an all male construction
Yeah.
company and whatnot. So not, like but I also always sort of knew that I wasn't going to last. So
Right. Right. Right.
I do think my experience is different from women and people of color and other minorities who
Right.
have to deal with certain things while knowing that their ultimate goal is to like actually climb a ladder. And
Right.
I have not experienced that.
Right. Right.
I think you maybe have.
I certainly have in the medical world,
Yeah.
which a lot of people may not necessarily think. I mean, my current gig is pretty good, but is great. But the one I had before this was extraordinarily toxic, and it reminded me of that because there was like this one person on top in power, and there's a bunch of people conniving to try and stay in that person's good graces, people like being like, no, I got this, man. I got your back. Yeah, I totally agree. That's really bad. You should totally say something about that. And playing all manners of the angles. And it was so awful. And you see like this dumb, naive kid, Supersonic, come into this thinking he can make a difference. And you see what happens to him. He's destroyed, like in this case, literally. But like I've also seen that happen to people outside of figuratively, at least in the medical world. And if it happens in medicine, I'm sure it happens everywhere else too. So it's like that's really what struck me about this, why her storyline is so impactful, because she's a woman dealing with this super toxic workplace. Everyone's unhappy. The person on the top is literally a megalomaniacal asshole, and it's I think it's something that I think a lot of people in this country don't even realize they're in until maybe they're out.
It's funny you bring this up in terms of Supersonic and Annie, because I actually made a note that is exactly the same thing, but in regards to A Train and the Deep. Because in this episode, A Train and the Deep engage in this sort of one-upsmanship, and the A Train brings up something in a meeting to try to advance his career and also sort of impress Homelander, but then the Deep's cult wife gives him a tip to say, why don't you say X, Y, and Z instead, to butt up against him. Mm-hmm. And to basically appeal to like, well, black issues are going to distract from our main goal.
Yeah.
And like, all of this is exactly what we see in nonprofits and also our government and also our society as a whole, where you've got the person in power who is actually like the real problem that needs to be fixed. In this case, Homelander.
Yeah.
And the larger corporation that enables him. And then you have the people underneath Homelander who could, in theory, band together to fight these issues, but they don't, because it's a prisoner's dilemma sort of deal, where they think it will behoove them to fight each other in order to get in the good graces of the asshole in charge. Right. And so that's the poor whites versus poor blacks, or poor whites versus blacks in general.
Yeah.
Part of my note taking, which is like, if you tell poor white people that the reason why they're poor is because of all these black people on welfare, right, they're going to attack them instead of focusing on the systemic problems that are the actual problem. And so like, I just think it's interesting that seems to be happening in this.
That's another brilliant AP Rebecca Watson take. It's a brilliant take. I mean, why the scene works well is because on top of like that subtext, there's also this other text of like, Homelander hearing what Deep has to say and being like, actually, fucking this idiot's right. And it's
Right.
just like,
He looks
like
so
funny.
shocked.
Yeah.
And
There's humor in the scene, which is what makes it work, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
And it underscores that like the Deep is basically a dum-dum who who will always just be a puppet. Always. He's either been a puppet of Vault, now he's a puppet. He was a puppet of the Scientology stand-in, and now he's a puppet of his wife, you know.
Right.
And I love that his wife was even allowed to sit in on this meeting and was texting him. Like, I find that hilarious.
She's gonna end up fucking Homelander at some point in this season, isn't she?
Oh my God. I hope so. Oh, yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. No, you're right. She's gonna fuck him. Yeah.
Okay. So then there's two other big plots that happen from there on. There is the twist where Edgar is betrayed by his daughter. I don't know if it's actually his like adopted daughter or basically just like maybe not real daughter, but like I don't know if he actually ever adopted her for real or just basically treated her as a daughter. She basically betrays him because she's worried about Homelander killing her kid.
Homelander basically somehow got her over to the senator over to his side, so that she then, instead of, Stan had planned for her to expose Homelander as kind of like a loose gun sort of thing that needed to be controlled. And instead she turned it back on Stan in the middle of a press conference.
Right. Were you surprised?
I was a little bit, actually. A little bit. Yeah.
I felt like they built it up so much. I knew something bad was going to happen. I didn't realize I didn't think she was going to stab him in the back that much and throw him under the bus and basically oust him from his own company.
So I had been drinking a lot, so I didn't really have time to really put together a plot of my own that might happen. Also, I should say that I take in general, I have a really open mind towards fiction, where even the worst fiction, I just happily turn my brain off in general, and I'm just happy for whatever comes next. And so it's only if it's like really telegraphed that I think about things. But if I put myself back in that place, if I had to guess what was going to happen, I think I would have just guessed like she would have gone along with Stan, and then Homelander would have murdered her kids or something, or done something horrible.
Right.
So that did sort of, I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting.
So there's that story going on, but really sort of the climax of this whole episode is
let's get into it.
Russia and
dildos.
Death by dildo. First of all, the actress who plays Kimiko, the female, she looks amazing in that dress, and she walks out in that dress. I'm like, this woman in everything.
I paused it.
Everything.
I said, I want that dress.
Yeah.
I want to look like that. I want to be that.
Yeah.
A++. No notes. Love it.
Yeah. I didn't say those exact same things, but I was also like, that looks fucking great.
You would have looked great in that dress, personally.
You would be surprised at how they don't actually make dresses for the plus size.
Can we do like an in-person podcast one of these days where we're both wearing like a sparkly party dress like that?
If we ever do a live show, absolutely. I will come out in a sparkly dress. It will come out matching sparkly dresses.
Done. All right.
So anyways, so Butcher, being an asshole, forces Kimiko to murder a bunch of people, basically saying, you are my gun. Yeah. And she kills a bunch of people with different dildos of varying sizes.
Different dildos. She goes into this room and they're all superhero dildos. So the first one she grabs, I believe, is Black Noir's, which is the classic dildo. It's a little racist. It's a bit of a racist trope, I think. The big black dildo.
Yeah.
So, but you can argue whether or not they were paying homage to that or satirizing that.
Right.
But I fucking loved it. She grabbed the big black dildo and stabbed somebody through the face with
the fucking eyeball with it. And then she murders the rest of them with dildos.
several different ones. Like I had a really good time just like pinpointing which was which superheroes. Like I love Starlight's at the end. She got the Starlight dildo lit up with stars.
Yeah,
I see
yeah.
you looked a little unsure. You're gonna have to go back and watch.
I no, no. I'm gonna watch the scene like 15 more times
Yeah.
before I'm done with it.
Yeah.
But the dildo thing does come up again, like when Ashley has that Fox News guy, the Cameron Coleman Hannity
Yes.
dude. Like
Yes.
she pulls out a strap-on dildo that's just happens to be in her desk drawer in her
Right.
office.
Well,
Is that what happens? Is that what happens when women get to positions of power?
they've already well they've established her as being a sex freak, so
Yeah, she's a freak.
it's understandable. And now they've established dildos as being a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's basically using a weapon to kill the Fox News guy. So my only sadness is that he'll probably enjoy it.
He'll love it. He seemed to be very excited about it. So there's that scene. I gotta be honest with you. It was. I know that it was supposed to be super titillating and hilarious because it was dildos.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It didn't land for me for whatever reason. I'm just like, you're gonna kill people with dildos. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, there's so many other ways she could have killed people. Like it just, there's something about it. It seemed a little too heavy-handed for me. Like you think I would love it more. You think it would be on par with exploding penises. Like and for some, it just didn't land for me. I don't know why.
So it's interesting because I did enjoy it, but again, like, today has been a day. And so I'm kind of looking for, like, to me, it's like blaxploitation films, maybe, or, just like general, or yeah, that stuff where it's like so over, like a Quentin Tarantino sort of thing where it's so over the top.
Yeah.
That it's somehow satisfying. So I personally did find it. I just burped.
But it was really very classy the way you did it. It was
Cut that out
adorable.
Cut it out of the podcast.
I don't even know if it picked up. I'll cut this, but I didn't even know if that picked up.
Okay, thank you. I found okay, and I just realized actually I'm talking about how satisfying I found the scene about dildos, and I like the irony of even having to discuss that. I did want to say that Butcher, when he sends Kimiko in before this, he uses this phrase a lot. Oh wait, are you frozen? Oh shit, am I frozen? No, Kaveh, you're frozen. I can't see you. And I don't think I can hear you either. Uh-oh. If you can hear me, text me. Because right now, oh. Oh no. There you are. It just burped again. Okay, well, I'm still recording. This says I'm still recording the Zoom, and my local file is still recording. Do you record your audio like through Zoom? Yeah. What do you use to record locally? Like audit? Oh, okay. So is that still going? Oh. Oh, maybe. Well, I'm still recording the whole thing. So worst case scenario. And like your audio does sound really good through. Yeah. So worst case scenario, it's like that first episode where it's like, yeah, I can tell that it's over the internet just because of the occasional like crackle, but
yeah. All right. Well, sorry about that. Anyway, so
no, it's okay.
Do you need me to tell you to record again?
No, I'm still recording, so you just start recording and then just send me whatever you've got.
Okay.
And then I'll just try to match it all up.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Okay.
No worries.
So I basically just told you like how the scene didn't affect me as much as I thought it would.
Oh, right, the dildos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. I gotta bring my notes back up because I had notes.
I could redo that dildo part too.
What was I gonna? I was gonna say something about the dildos. I thought it was in my notes, but I guess not.
Let me redo the dildo thing.
Okay.
Then we might as well.
What, like the whole thing? Like
just like my how I was less affected than I would have expected. Okay. So actually, if I'm being totally honest, the whole dildo fight scene didn't wow me as much, or shock me, or titillate me as much as I would have expected, and I think that might just be because I've seen so many things like that, so much over the top violence recently. I don't know. I can't tell what it was, but I didn't. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little sad that it didn't. I kind of was like, this. Right. I should be having more fun with this dildo death scene.
Right. Okay, and it did do it for me, so to speak. Sorry.
This is like the castration thing on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, kind of. That's not in this episode. I don't think that's going to get into this episode.
Okay, sorry. We'll forget that one.
No, we'll just have to tell them you got to like subscribe to our Twitter so you can find the behind the scenes stuff when we're talking about that.
That's for the behind the paywall stuff.
But yeah, it did do it for me. And so I'm going to say one thing, and then I'm going to go into AP Rebecca. We need to can we come up with a different name for AP Rebecca? Just so I need to disassociate from her a little bit. But so like on the one hand, when I was watching it, I was like, this is awesome. She's fucking stabbing people with dildos, and that's hilarious. Like
great.
I just kind of need to see that right now. But then also like literally just now when you were talking about how it wasn't doing it for you, AP Rebecca was like, well, dildos are seen as a form of emasculation and something that like goes against sort of patriarchy, and something that that takes power away from men. And when you realize like that Butcher, sent Kimiko in telling her basically like, you're my weapon, and then he's just like, easy peasy, just go in and do it. And she does go in and do it, but like it's so much harder for her than he has any understanding. And so she's literally like using this tool of female empowerment in a way to kind of like come to terms with the fact that she deserves better, maybe. I don't know. I'm working this out like as we're talking.
No, I didn't look at it that way. I didn't look at it as a term of female empowerment, and maybe that's how I should have, because I almost this is I feel like no matter how I say this, I'm going to get into trouble. And
I hope so.
But I almost think that like when they have those things, when the woman has a dildo, it's almost like they're trying to say she wants to be she's envious of a man.
Yeah,
you know, that's kind of
you have a Freudian interpretation.
I guess so. Like I almost thought that's what what they were trying to imply was that. Like, I'm like, why couldn't she kill them with some vagina-like object?
Yeah, why couldn't she suck them into a Georgia O'Keeffe painting?
Kill them with some orchids. Have some clams, motherfucker!
Yeah, I see where you're coming from there. Yeah, like, and maybe I'm giving them too much credit here, but I do feel like the dick as a weapon of war is both overrepresented, but also maybe underexplored.
I like where you're going with it. You know what I think it is? I think partially it's because this season has had a lot of dick stuff, a lot of like things going, like trying to like shock us a little bit with like Frenchie and Nina talking about all the things they put in their asses. Yeah. Like at some point, I'm like, okay, I get it. This is you guys are, I get it. A lot of things in asses. That's cool. I mean, I get it. It's cool. I mean, right. But like I felt like maybe that was it for me. It just had been done.
No, yeah, and that I think you've got a point there because there is. And this is kind of what I mentioned earlier, if it makes the cut, just how I do tend to overly give the benefit of the doubt to stuff and suspend my disbelief and whatnot. So yeah, I think you could be right there that like, it's literally, it's called The Boys. But it doesn't always have to be about dicks, even when you've got a woman surrounded by a bunch of women killing some men. However, I do love that this is something I really, really like is that Kimiko kills all these men with dicks, and then she gets shot in the chest. In the head, thank you. And then the camera turns. She's been shot not by one of the many men that she's been killing, but it's one of the exploited women who's just sort of terrified.
Yeah.
And luckily for us, Kimiko is, they're kind of...
chill about it. She's chill about it. Yeah.
Sorry, someone from Burbank was just calling me.
Mother.
It's 9:30. What the
fuckers?
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It upsets me too.
Yeah, fucking text me.
Fucking assholes.
So, she heals from it, and in a way, it's a bit of foreshadowing. They're telling us like, oh yeah, she can get shot in the head and she's fine. And she, her immediate response is like feeling bad for the woman that shot her.
Yeah.
And trying to calm them down because there's a few scared women there, and she just feels terrible that she scared them so much that they had to shoot her in the head.
Yeah, she's so sweet. Her character's so sweet.
It's not just sweet to me, like that is a kind of quintessential and stereotypical feminine response. So, she's just stabbed a bunch of men with penises, and then she has a stereotypical, like maternal almost response to these other women where she is like connecting with them and saying like, no, it's fine. I'm sorry. And so I do like that juxtaposition.
That's interesting. Yeah. I didn't look at it that way. But like, do you think that that's a critique? Like that she was so like apologetic? Like, do you think that's something women do too much in general? Like apologize, and this is like with some critique on that, or do you think?
No, I think it was a critique on the violence because the violence, she didn't want to do that violence.
Yeah.
Billy forced her to go in and do that violence. She didn't want to do it, and the violence ended up upsetting those women in a way even more than their current circumstance. So even if it was going to free them from their unfortunate circumstances, it upset them so much that they were willing to murder for it and to also do this. So in a way, I feel like the scene set up violence as a kind of masculine energy and forgiveness and love as a feminist energy. Yeah. I just knocked my phone off the table.
You're good at that.
Sorry.
That's really good. God, AP English Rebecca's the best, Rebecca. And then another bit of foreshadowing, which I was like, oh no. As soon as like they're back and her and Frenchie are having this discussion, they're like, we're going to get away. We're going to go to Marseilles together. Yeah. And you're like, oh,
as soon as they look so happy, it's like, oh,
something bad's going to happen.
You can't be happy.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the big fight scene. She gets blasted by the Winter Soldier who comes out.
Okay, so not Winter Soldier, but Soldier Boy.
But he's doing a real Winter Soldier thing where he's kept in Russia and like he comes out of this cryo freeze. So
it turns out the weapon that murdered Soldier Boy was simply Soldier Boy is the weapon.
You know what I would have liked to have seen when he came out of the cryo freeze is like some bit of addressing like, wow, I've been in this freeze for so long. My GI system is so out of whack. I have to shit right now. I wanted him just to be like, take it like have crazy diarrhea. Just be like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on in there. Because
Kaveh, that's why it's important to have a gastroenterologist or
on every podcast.
On every podcast, because how else do you know who needs to poop?
Agreed. I mean, I'm just like, I thought that was like an opportunity for a real joke. Like, you come out in like your bodily function just normal and you walk off. Like, I mean, your body is fucked up and weird if you've been in some sort of weird like.
You're just picturing like a Niagara Falls of shit.
Or
but
something.
What if he hasn't been fed? Like, what if he's just had fluids?
Well, then he has to be peeing. Like, why not have a catheter in him or something? And he pulls the catheter, which, by the way, never pull a catheter out of your dick, guys. Please never do that.
I've seen it happen in movies, and every time I see it happen, I'm like...
You got to deflate that balloon first. One of the worst things I ever saw in my medical training was a guy who had tried to pull out the catheter while the balloon was still inflated. Yeah, no. Nope.
No.
It's as bad as you might think.
Anyways, I ask... Would it violate HIPAA if I ask why he tried to do that?
I don't think it would, because it was like, I'm not giving you any details of this.
I don't need his name.
Right.
Unless he had a big old dick.
No. I won't give you any more details.
Just kidding. I'm a married woman.
Other than to say it's as bad as you think, and I'll tell you later. Anyways.
Subscribe for the behind the scenes. If we get enough subscribers, we're going to do behind the scenes.
I'm going to put the disclaimer out that all facts about patients, the information has been changed to
completely made up.
The facts, and it's all made up stuff.
Mm-hmm. It turns out there was a tiny man inside of his dick.
So why did they just let Soldier Boy just walk off? They had two guys there with superpowers at this point. By the way, one of the other twists is that, which is not really that much of a twist, you kind of knew it was going to happen, is Huey also takes a shot of the V and he gets super speed powers.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which is funny because he runs out of his clothing, which is kind of funny. But
was it speed? I thought it was teleportation.
It's a good question. I think it was speed because he broke through the cast.
Speed is more ironic because... A-Train murdered his girlfriend. I didn't even think of that.
I didn't either until you just said it.
I thought teleportation like the kid at the thing, but no, I bet you're right. I bet it was speed.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll find out. So that, why didn't they stop him?
Why didn't they stop him?
Yeah, they just let him walk off. They let him blast Kimiko. The boys let Soldier Boy blast Kimiko with his energy blast from his chest.
Yeah.
And she goes down, but she's a mess because she can't heal for whatever reason now.
Okay. So, for whatever reason. So, okay, what I got from this was that Soldier Boy's power is that he takes away other people's powers.
Oh, damn. Fuck. Check out the big brain on Brad. Holy shit. That is fucking good. That makes sense. That makes sense. He's got a rogue.
Yeah, like Rogue. And so from my perspective, like he fucked up Kimiko and they just like took like everybody turned to like just making sure she stayed alive.
Yeah. Except for Huey, who is just like reveling in his new power.
Okay, so like that's how the show ends is Huey just like sticking his head out the car window like a fucking Labrador. Everybody's like, oh, Kimiko's dying. Everybody's dying. And Huey's just like, feels good, man. Feels good. It's like
you know, it's like that first time one of the first times you're drinking or something. Your friend's driving you, and you just roll down the window and you're listening to music, and you're just like, man, everything's fucking awesome.
Yeah, like that first time I actually got high. Not the first time I tried weed, but the first time I actually like inhaled and got high, and I was just like, why aren't I just like this all the time? That's what Huey looked like.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't know that because you're a doctor and you've never.
No, I mean I've heard of these things. I've seen these things. The other part of the thing I thought was funny was like when Huey walks in on, you know, Big Brother figure Billy doing the V, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "You don't want this, love. You don't want anything to do with this." It reminded me of that. You ever watch Walk Hard? The Dewey Cox.
The Dewey Cox. Yeah.
It was like that. Every time he walks in on that guy.
Walk Hard, the Huey Cox story.
Yeah.
And I liked it later when they were when Billy was like explaining. He's like, "Oh, you must have just stolen it," and it was like, "You just let him have it.
You let him try it.
You were excited."
Yeah, it was cute.
It was kind of cute.
God, I do love Dennis Quaid's kid. It's so funny to see like Dennis Quaid's kid
is so good.
Yeah, he's really got good comic timing.
The whole cast is really, they're fantastic, and they should all win Emmys.
You know, people have been talking about the guy who plays Stan. I mean, I've seen him in a lot of things, and people have always been talking about since like Do the Right Thing or like, you know, old movies like he was in. People have always talked about like how great he is, right?
This is what's his name from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. To be honest with you, like I never was like when people talk about how great he was in Breaking Bad, I'm like, nah, he plays like a quiet, serious guy, and I'm not really that into it. But in this show, he's so fucking good as a human guy who like has no like superpowers.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yes. Other than like the powers of, you know, intellectual intimidation. And I think he's so fucking good. It's funny
you should say that because I actually tonight while watching this had this thought where I was like, I love this guy, but he can literally only play this one character.
Yeah, maybe.
He's sort of playing the same character who is somebody who it seems like he can seem sympathetic to people that he likes, but ultimately he has this grander conspiracy and is very cold and sociopathic.
Yes. Yes.
So I think he's actually playing the exact same character. That doesn't, like, not to take away from him. Like, I think he's great. I love him. But yeah, it's funny because I came to the opposite conclusion of you.
Do you know? But you know why it worked for me so much more than with Gus is because there was one line in one of the first, I can't remember which season it was, first or second, where he's with Butcher. Oh, second season, and Butcher's like talking to him about Stormfront, and he's like, how the fuck can you handle this? How do you stomach the fact that you have this Nazi working for you? You know what she thinks about you, right? And the look of like frustration, annoyance, fatigue of like having to like deal with like white liberals trying to like tell him what to do, like that. All that stuff where he's like, you fucking idiot. You have no fucking idea. Like the way he does that with like one line, I'm like, that's fucking great acting, man.
So I agree. I think that, I still think he plays one character, but he plays it very well.
Very well.
And I think it was kind of the same in Breaking Bad. I feel like he's got these micro expressions that are just like pinpoint. I liked a lot. Hold on, let me. I want to look at my.
I have a couple closing notes. I have a couple closing notes too.
Oh, what do you got? Well,
okay, a couple just quick things that I picked out. First of all, I meant to tell you this last time, but he was wearing the same shirt this time. Huey is wearing a Last Waltz shirt.
Leonard Cohen?
No, Last Waltz, the movie that Martin Scorsese made about the band, their final show.
Oh, yes, the final show. Yeah.
One of my favorite like music documentary movies, and it kind of plays in because it's about like this group of guys on the one last mission. That's sort of like what's happening here. And it also kind of brought up that I think the music choices have been really good. Like I've really been enjoying the music choices in the show to this point.
Agreed. I think the music has been fantastic. It's funny. I hate that I missed that because I just watched, like a couple of months ago, I rewatched The Last Waltz because Van Morrison has become such an insane person, like an anti-vaccine crazy. Right. And I fucking love Van Morrison's music. So, and I love him in The Last Waltz. So I, as like a palate cleanser, I watched The Last Waltz.
And that's really good for you. It's good that you're able to separate the artist and the art. Yeah,
that's right.
I'm not great at that traditionally. I'm not.
Huey, at one point, when Huey was asking for V24, he said he was so angry he couldn't even breathe. Which I think just speaks to like the fact that all of this is about toxic masculinity.
Yes.
Like he's so angry, and the only thing that will fix it is this drug. To me, like I'm a feminist, communist, whatever. That's what I do. Everything is about toxic masculinity, but particularly that.
There's definitely a lot of that in this show. Yeah.
Yes, so much of it really is. Homelander versus Stan. I really enjoyed that showdown with them, especially because Homelander had all of the cards and Stan acknowledged it, but Stan had all of the confidence.
Right. And still got a couple good digs.
Yeah. And I turned to my partner. I was like, holy shit. Like Homelander is so insecure here. And at that very moment, Stan said something to him about like how insecure.
You're just bad product.
Yes. Oh my God. He said you're bad product. And I lost it. He also literally.
Great line.
Either he said or Homelander himself might have said it. But the word like secure came up between the two of them. And it was just so clear that like, even if Homelander blasted Stan into the stratosphere, Stan would still win in a sense because Homelander is so insecure.
There was one thing, I remember like when Homelander was like in awe, he's like, got to give you credit. Here I am. I could kill you in a second. Your heartbeat, your blood pressure is not even 8. But I need to go back and listen to it. But did he say something crazy like 80/40, which would be like really fucking low?
Like dangerously
low. Like your systolic is not supposed to go that low.
Yeah, you should have that looked at before I kill you.
Like maybe that is like it's just on the low end. I have to listen to it again. Actually, maybe I just misheard it.
But it does underline the idea that it's not enough and Homelander in his heart knows it. It's not enough for him to kill the other person and thus win. He can only win if he bests the other person in terms of being a man, being a confident, fully formed person. Yeah. And obviously he can never do that. So Homelander will, no matter how powerful he is, he'll never win because the other person, it's like, just imagine like a horribly insecure person coming up against a very secure, like a Buddhist monk, let's say, who has achieved enlightenment. Like the horribly insecure person with a machine gun could kill the Buddhist monk, but do they win? And I think that Homelander kind of understands that problem and knows that he'll never win because there's something deep within himself that is always going to be
fucked
lacking.
and broken. Yeah. Wow. All right, that's a great place to end it.
Should we end it there? Okay.
Another dropped bomb by AP English, Rebecca.
Thanks, AP Becca.
Finally came in handy. Let's tell people where they can follow you. Because they need to see your content. Okay.
Twitter at Rebecca Watson. You can find all of my stuff, skepchick.org, skepchick.org. And you give your things, and then I'm going to give the podcast things.
Follow me at The House of Pod on Twitter. Listen to that podcast, The House of Pod, including episodes that Rebecca has been on, anywhere you listen to your podcast. And then you're going to tell people.
Yeah, I'm jumping back in.
Let's do it. You're back in. Tag team.
Boom. I got the wrong camera again. Boom.
We're not good at high-fiving.
No, we're not good. Okay, you can find this podcast at girlsonboyspod.com or on Twitter at girlsonboyspod. And we're also on iTunes. And if you listen to this on like a podcasting app, please just give us a 5-star rating. No fewer, because that means people shouldn't listen. 5 stars if you want people to listen to us.
I'll kill myself. I'll kill myself. If you give me anything less, I'll kill myself. I don't want to pressure you guys or make you guys feel weird about it, but that's what's going to happen.
Don't feel weird about it, but...
Is that what you want?
If you give less than 5, if you give fewer than 5 stars...
Okay, Stannis Baratheon. Hey, another Game of Thrones reference. All right.
Then Kaveh will kill himself.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to listen to me talk about the boys by myself, and no one wants that. It'll just be
they all kind of do.
No.
They all kind of do.
No, AP Rebecca needs somebody to break in and be like, hey, calm down. Calm down, dumb.
Dumb guy in the class. Dumb jock. That's not really a jock.
Yeah, no, you are the dumb jock. Don't sell yourself short.
Thank you. That's so sweet. You're so sweet. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.